Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. As previously discussed in my last video, I have an exciting new announcement. I have changed my channel name. Basically, the story behind this is that I joined YouTube a year ago. Well, I joined before that, but I started making videos about a year ago. And in that time, I learned a lot about the process of uploading, creating, editing, all of those things. And I took a bit of time off just with life getting in the way and kind of happening in between. But now that I'm back, I am really focusing on what I want my channel to look like. And in my original video on YouTube, I talked about, it was the new to booktube tag. And I talked about how I also wanted to integrate my two passions of books and travel, and wanted to be able to discuss both on my channel, as that does make up a huge part of who I am and what I choose to do in my free time. So with that in mind, I have decided on the channel name Paper and Planes. It's a bit of a play on paper airplanes, and it combines the two things that I love the most, all things stationery and books, with travel, obviously taking planes to a lot of the destinations that I do travel to. So with that being said, I hope that you guys love this new channel name as much as I do and embrace it. So when I was watching YouTube a long time ago, one of the things that really made me feel like I wanted to contribute to the YouTube community and really would love to have a say in is the Wanderlust Tag that was created by Amanda Muse. I watched Amanda Muse way back in the day when she lived in Malaysia, as well as Estee Lalonde, which was at that time Essie Button. They're two really amazing Canadian girls, or should I say women, who are living abroad outside of Canada, and I've enjoyed watching their journey for a long time now, many years. And when they did this tag, I think upon looking at it just before making this video, it was actually 3 years ago when I watched this video. And I feel like the travel aspect of my channel kind of got left behind. I did put up some Iceland vlogs, which I will link below, when I first started YouTube, but since then it's been mainly book focused and I've kind of lost the travel along the way. And since that is a huge passion in my life, I thought I would bring it back with this tag, pairing it with our brand new name. So after that long explanation, let's get started on the Wanderlust tag. So the first question is, what is your most treasured passport stamp? My family had always been huge road trippers growing up. We road tripped all across Canada, all across the East Coast, the West Coast. I have a lot of family on both coasts, so we visited them as I was growing up. We also went to Florida quite a few times and road tripped through the states to get there. And I've also been to Washington, D.C., New York City, etc. And then as we got older, my parents then also took us to some all-inclusive resorts. We've gone south a lot, but my dream was always to travel to Europe. And so my most treasured stamp is probably my first Rome stamp in my passport. Rome, Italy was a dream spot of mine, and when I finally made it reality in 2011, then you know, my travel bug really caught up with me, and that really became a way of life for me, in that as soon as I'm back from a trip, I am planning the next one. So the second question is, can you recite your passport number from memory? No, I can't. I also am terrible for remembering to pack a pen in my carry-on so that I can fill out those customs forms, and I definitely don't remember my passport number by heart to fill out on these forms. When Amanda Muse made this tag, she was an expat living in Malaysia, and so she was saying that she definitely knows all of the passport numbers by heart because she has to fill out a lot of customs forms. Number 3 is your preferred method of travel: planes, trains, and automobiles. Obviously, we use planes quite a lot because being in Canada, the country next to us is the United States of America, and if you want to go anywhere other than Canada or the US of A, it does take many hours of travel by car. And even to visit my brother on the west coast of Canada, I'm in Ontario, he's in Alberta, to drive there it would take about a week. So it's quite a large country and we don't have a lot close by, so we do use plane as a mode of transportation quite a lot if we are traveling. But with that being said, I would say my favorite mode of transportation is a train. We use that a lot throughout Europe, and I really feel like that's a better way to travel in terms of there's more flexibility on times. There's several trains usually throughout the day to get from one place to another. You don't have to worry about getting to the airport 3 hours ahead of time. You just show up at the time that your train is ready to leave, provided that you've already bought your tickets. And also, while you're on the train, you can look out the window and see glimpses of the countryside as you pass through. And I always find that really interesting to see the country from that perspective. Number 4 is top 3 travel items. As I am a book lover, I always bring some sort of form of reading. My first backpacking trip through Europe, I brought a lot of paperback copies of books and just left them at different hostels or places throughout my trip for others to pick up and read, so that it wouldn't be quite a burden of carrying all those books the whole entire time while I was traveling. But I always feel like I'm always worried about running out of reading material when I travel in that way. So for the subsequent trips after that, I then would pack my iPad, which has my Kobo e-reader app on it, so that I could just load up the e-reader with books that I would like to read, and it's a lot less fuss to bring in my backpack, as well as if I needed a new book, I could just download it. And I also enjoy reading about the places that I'm visiting a lot while I am traveling. So I find that really cool to be in the setting that I'm actually traveling in. The second thing that I'd bring is kind of a cop-out answer. It's one that everybody talks about, but it is my camera. I need some way to document the trip. I have pictures up throughout the house that I've taken on our trips, and it's something that I really cherish. And then the third item that I think is a must-have is really hard because I do only pack a backpack when I go on long trips or short trips, either way. So there's not a whole lot that are must-haves that I need to bring. But I do make a duotang file of all of our confirmations printed off, plane confirmations, hotel confirmations, any sort of planes that we're taking in between throughout the countries that we're visiting. So I do pack that along with our regular clothes, etc., and that has come in handy a lot when we've gotten to destinations and they're overbooked or whatever. I have that confirmation right in hand to say, no, this was confirmed and this is the rate that we were confirmed for, and we really are booked in here. And it also helps us with our itinerary throughout the trip to know exactly where we need to be and when. So number 5 is hotel or hostel. I have stayed in both, but I do find that when you're traveling with somebody else, it's often just as cost effective to stay in a hotel if you're splitting it 2 ways. For example, in Paris, a hostel can cost you $70 a night, whereas you can find a cheap budget hotel for, 80 euros a night, and if you're splitting that with another person, it's almost just worth it to get the hotel. That being said, we do enjoy Airbnb above both of those. We find that you can get really good deals staying in the locations that you want that you might not be able to find otherwise. Number 6, are you a repeat visitor or explore new places? I would say that I'm a bit of both, although I really, really love exploring new places. I'm not the type of person who would return to the same place year after year. With that being said, though, our favorite country is Italy, and so every time we plan a Europe vacation, we always include Italy in that itinerary. So we do a bit of a mix where we go back to Rome, which is our favorite city, maybe a couple of other places in Italy that we also enjoy, and then from there we travel to at least one new country and city throughout the trip, usually more than that of new places. Number 7 is read up on destination or wing it. I'm definitely a researcher. I love to read up on the destination, not just on the typical tourist research, but also just the history of the place, what there is to offer there. I find that I appreciate where I'm traveling to a lot more if I know some facts about the culture, their history, how they've come to be the way that they are. I love, especially in Europe, looking at cities and different squares or monuments throughout the city and getting to know what the their importance throughout history, not just what it's functional for today. And I also find that I usually come across some really helpful tips and tricks that have helped us save time or save money along the way as well. And who doesn't want to save time and money when you're on a limited budget or a limited vacation time? Number 8 is favorite travel website. YouTube. I watch a lot of travel vlogs. I really love watching travel vlogs. I feel like you get a pretty good feel of the city or the country that you're interested in. You might look at some really interesting food that they've tried, and then you've decided you want to try that as well. I've seen different accommodations that I've been interested in from watching people's vlogs, and I just find that you pick up a lot of information from seeing exactly what somebody did on their holiday, and maybe that's something you want to avoid or do yourself as well. TripAdvisor, I love their forums. You can ask any question you want, and their travel experts for that city will be quick to answer you usually. So if, I don't use them to do all the research for me, I do research, how to get from point A to point B, or different neighborhoods that I am interested in staying in and what's best for us. But then if I have a technical question that I can't figure out on my own, then I can ask the forum experts, and they are usually more than happy to help you figure it out. And also just reading other forum questions sometimes will make me aware of certain issues or certain things that I might be interested in looking at as well that I didn't previously know about just from a guidebook. So that's really good as well. And I read a lot of travel blogs, so I just like looking at where people have gone through their pictures and their words and finding out what they recommend. And I find it really interesting to read different trip reports and see what people have gotten up to. Number 9, where would you recommend a friend to visit? Name a city and why. Okay, so I think that my favorite country is Italy, but if you aren't into, say, history, you might not love Rome and the ancient ruins that I love so much as I do, or, different countries different countries and cities that I love, might be more of a personal taste than others. So one place that I feel like I can recommend to anybody, and it's a sure thing, is Iceland. Now, it does say to name a city, which would be Reykjavik is where I stayed, but the actual city of Reykjavik, I wouldn't recommend if you're just trying to stay in a city and not venture out, because as much as Reykjavik is really cool, it's got kind of a hipster vibe to it. There are some good restaurants, contrary to popular belief. It's a great city in it of itself, but there's not a whole lot to fill your days if you're there for quite a long time, or even for a few days. To just stay in the city would be silly. What I'm specifically recommending is that you go to the south shore of Iceland, go venture out, rent a car, take a tour, do all of those things to see the beautiful country, because I don't know one person that doesn't enjoy breathtaking scenery, and trust me, it really is. It feels like you're on a different planet, and I would recommend it anytime to anybody, and the people in Iceland were just more than friendly. So I came back from that trip and I started recommending it to everybody I know. Number 10, you are leaving tomorrow. Money is no option. Where are you going? As I said, my dream was to always go to Europe growing up. But now I have been to Europe 3 times, and we're planning our 4th trip in the fall this year, 2017. And in between, we've done some trips throughout Canada, and we've gone to the Dominican and that sort of thing. But if I had money as no option and I could go wherever I wanted, really my big dream now that I have checked Europe off the list, and trust me, I'll never get tired of Europe. I will be going back again and again and again until, I can't travel anymore. But where my next dream to go is Africa. And now I understand I say Africa and it's a huge continent, and just saying Africa is really ambiguous, but I really do mean I want to see Africa. I want to see Morocco. I want to see South Africa. I want to see Uganda. There's so many places that I would love to go in Africa that if money was no object, I'd really just take a few months and nonstop travel Africa and see everything that it has to offer. I think each country really has its unique personality and different things to offer, and I would love to explore that more. And another place that I would really love to go to is India. If I had all the time and money in the world, I would love to just explore the different regions of India, as I do think that they also are very diverse in what they have to offer, from busy cities to lush landscapes, and I think that would be a really amazing trip to jump outside of my comfort zone. I hope you guys got to know me a little bit better. I hope that you like that this travel inclusion is happening on my channel. I know traditionally booktube videos are just strictly books, but it is a huge part of me and it is something that I am passionate about. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!